Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds. Today, we're talking about the Commander ban list.
There's 3 ways to run a Commander ban list. You got your less regulation, no bans, the current ban list, and then more regulation. We're going to look at that third option.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily Commander content. If you like what you're hearing, go to Patreon and you can support the channel, help live our dream. Also, link in the description, TCG Player. Go there, buy cards. Whoa, that's like you do normally. But this time, when you start with the link, we get a kickback on the owner. It helps us make more content. Joe, what are we doing?
Well, we're going to be talking about the ban list today. We're going to actually go over the Rules Committee's full little philosophy page to get a better understanding of where they stand. Obviously, we can never be in the Rules Committee's head. We don't know exactly what they want for the format, so we're going to get our best understanding. Not to misquote anything, we want to have their exact words. We're going to discuss it, and then we're going to take a ban list to the extreme side, where we ban as much as possible under what they consider to be problematic in the format.
Yeah, so we're not calling for any bans. This is a thought experiment video, and we're going to look at what format we have left over after we axe everything they've talked about against, and then say, hey, is this format better or worse, or what would we do differently? So to read directly from the Commander Rules Committee website, we have their philosophy on bans, and I quote, "Commander is for fun. It's a socially interactive, multiplayer Magic the Gathering format full of wild interactions and epic plays, specifically designed as an alternative to tournament Magic. As is fitting for a format in which you choose an avatar to lead your forces into battle, Commander focuses on a resonant experience. Each game is a journey the players share, relying on a social contract in which each player is considerate of the experiences of everyone involved. This promotes player interaction, intergame variance, a variety of playstyles, and a positive communal atmosphere. At the end of an ideal Commander game, someone will have won, but all participants will have had the opportunity to express themselves through their deck building and gameplay. The rules of Commander are designed to maximize these experiences within a game of Magic. The addition of a Commander, larger life total, and deck building restrictions emphasize the format's flavor. They increase deck variance and add more opportunities for participation and expression. The goal of the ban list is similar. It does not seek to regulate competitive play or power level, which are decisions best left to individual playgroups. The ban list seeks to demonstrate which cards threaten the positive player experience at the core of the format or prevent players from reasonable self-expression. The primary focus on this list is cards which are problematic because of their extreme consistency, ubiquity, and/or ability to restrict others' opportunities."
Using their rules and philosophies, they end up in this weird middle ground where they expect the format to both self-regulate, but also they're going to regulate it with certain bans of cards that are extremely problematic. And I just don't agree with that ground. It feels like we have to be on either side. If the format is completely self-regulating, then you just don't need any bans. You need 0 bans in this format because everything will self-regulate. If a card like the Flippy Commander that's banned, let's just use that as an example. Arayo. No one's going to play that. It should just not be played. It doesn't have to be banned. That's what self-regulation would lead to. And if nobody has a problem with it in a play group, then people will play it. And then there's the other side of it where it's like, okay, we do need bans. Well, then we need to take a strong approach and actually ban cards that fit under the criteria given by the Rules Committee.
Right, so as opposed to what they're doing right now, which is banning cards, like kind of like of a single card out of a group as a recommendation. For example, banning, one piece of fast mana and then saying, well, fast mana isn't really aligning with what our philosophy for the format is. You could go full self-regulation and offer no bans and then say, here's our suggestions for what you might not enjoy playing with. We've done the research, we've gotten the games in. Here are the cards that don't really promote what we're trying to get to, but you can play them if you want. Because Rule 0 is you can do literally anything you want. And I don't think citing that is super helpful to kind of get to a decision of, hey, should we do the ban list as we have it now, or should we change something? I don't know. We don't have an exact stance on everything, but we can take the opposite of the no ban list and then go to, well, what would happen if we just ban all the cards that the Commander Rules Committee basically says don't fit the theme of this format, don't belong in the format?
Yeah, currently we just don't get any bans. They're so rare. It's been 2 years since a real ban, excluding Lutri, which happened last year. 2 years since the Iona ban. That's so long.
That was a long time ago. And I just feel like it is possible. I won't even say any definitive statements, but it is possible that cards need to be banned more than they get banned, right? I mean, that's definitely a possibility.
It's definitely a possibility. Is it necessarily true? No, we don't know. It's tough. We're not making definitive things here. We're not saying this needs to be an aggressively banned format. If you want my opinion, I would take a much more liberal stance and just bans a lot more stuff. I would like a format that actually feels a little more balanced. It's obviously there's going to be a power level gap still, but I want to bring it a little bit, like I want to bring the top end down a little bit so that you can meet in the middle a little more.
Okay, fair enough. So it's kind of this expectation that you look at the ban list, look at their philosophy, and then also sort of you have to care about fun more than winning because you value the other people's experiences, or you don't want to inhibit their deck. We just want to show up, 4 people express themselves with their deck, everybody does their thing, and then somebody wins, and everyone feels great.
Yeah, but it's tough because there's a spot of, if you're not within playgroup, self-regulation works amazingly.
Totally.
It's if you have 4 friends and you guys are the same 4 that play all the time, you can regulate what happens within your playgroup. The second you bring in one outside person or 2 outside people, the regulation falls apart very quickly, and these expectations just don't work. And you can't the whole format can't self-regulate. It can self-regulate in small portions, but it cannot self-regulate as a whole, and that's the issue. So Gavin Verhey sent out a tweet. And this tweet, I think, really encapsulates the pressure that's put on players. Strive to build commander decks that don't make you feel any need to apologize when you win with them. This is a strange thing to me because I don't know when I would need to apologize. I don't know when does my deck hit the point where I need to apologize. I don't know. And it's really a huge gray area that I don't feel like anybody can answer. I don't think Sheldon Menery, the head of the rules committee, I don't think Gavin Verhey, one of the big guys over at Wizards, can give me an answer because there isn't a real answer.
Yeah, so we got the conservative, the basically no ban list with maybe suggestions, a suggestion list. And then we have what we have now. Obviously, everyone knows that. And now we're going to look at the more liberal ban list. So we scoured the format, taking into account their criteria, which we are now going to read. All right, so reading from the site, their words on the ban list. No single rule can establish criteria for a ban. There are many mitigating or exacerbating factors. Some cards will represent an extreme on a single axis, others are a confluence of multiple smaller issues. The following list isn't exhaustive, nor is it a checklist, but it represents ways in which cards challenge the positive experiences players look for in commander games. It includes cards which easily or excessively cause severe resource imbalances, allow players to win out of nowhere, prevent players from contributing to the game in a meaningful way, cause other players to feel they must play certain cards even though they are also problematic, are very difficult for other players to interact with, especially if doing so requires dedicated, narrow responses when deck building, interact poorly with the multiplayer nature of the format or the specific rules of Commander, and or lead to repetitive gameplay. Cards which are banned most likely meet a few of these criteria in a significant way. Not all cards which meet some of the criteria need to be banned.
So what we did is we took their criteria and things that are severely doing either one or multiple of these, and we put them on our ban list. This isn't a ban list we're telling people to use.
Not a recommendation either.
It's not a recommendation either. It's just it's more of a thought. It's like
thought experiment.
Yeah, if we take the extreme and we go, we're going to ban everything that really is severe in that direction, here's what we would ban.
Yeah, here's what the format would look like. So the first little category here, it's cards that cause severe resource imbalances. And now if you don't know what these cards are about to be, I'll tell you right now, it's fast mana. Cards that go, hey, at turn 1 or 2, I have 5 or 6 mana, and obviously you don't. And it can come down to every deck can play them, yes, but now every deck can't draw them. So one person's way out in front, and the other people are either trying to catch up, or it becomes some kind of 3v1, which isn't always the most enjoyable. We have Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Grim Monolith, Mox Diamond, Chrome Mox, Lotus Petal, Jewel Lotus, Mox Opal, and even Ancient Tomb. I feel like all of those fit right into that category, and I guess get them out.
Yeah, it's all about something like, let's just take the granddaddy of these, Mana Crypt. It puts you on turn 4 and turn 2 if you have it on your first turn. And every single turn it's out, you're 2 mana ahead of everybody else. Every turn for 0 mana investment. And that's the extreme. Mox Diamond does one every turn. These all put you ahead a significant amount for almost no investment.
Think of the pressure that a turn 1 Soul Ring or Mana Crypt adds to the game. It's like, oh, we really got to go fast, or this game needs to speed up, or the game is just now sped up without anybody saying anything. It's kind of like putting a little mini time bomb in your deck, and there's 2 of them. So now 1 in 50 chance that any given card is just going to speed this game up ridiculously fast. And how many times do you want that to happen? Some of these maybe I agree with, some of them maybe I would leave in, but I think they all definitely cause It's just this critical mass, this confluence of like, yep, we're on turn 6 now.
Yeah, this is
Resource imbalance.
Yeah, these definitely cause those resource imbalances. We're not saying that these cards all definitely 100% need to be banned. No, it's more of it just taking an extreme stance. And it's like, these definitely do cause severe resource imbalances. One of the weakest on here is like Mox Opal, because you need to like build around it to get it going. It doesn't matter. The decks that play it can easily get it going, and it's just going to be a fast mana rock. It's a Moxen. It's a build around Moxen.
Yeah, even a build around Moxen, the Moxen are banned, so that's obviously somewhere close to what they were thinking for the ban list. But it might be a case of, hey, here's a sampling of the cards we think are going to cause resource imbalances. And I think if that's the case, it's definitely proof that, even something like Lotus Petal can just shoot you out way ahead, especially depending on what your deck is.
Yeah.
What are some more?
Yeah, some more. So these are a little different. They're mana also, but they're either lands or like stupid. Like, these are going to put you like 2 mana ahead for a turn. These are going to put you in the driver's seat to win the game, these 4.
This is like resource discrepancy.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with Gaia's Cradle. Oh my god, if you don't know how much of a resource discrepancy Gaia's Cradle can cost, you haven't played against Gaia's Cradle. Cabal Coffers, which you, again, like turn 4, you're just like, oh, tap my Cabal Coffers for like 7 mana? Oh, geez, that's pretty silly.
I think Gaia's Cradle and Cabal Coffers, before we move on to the next 2, they fall also into the category of they now require a specific answer.
Yes.
Where it's like, you're going to have to destroy this land, and not every deck is equipped to do that. And I would guarantee that most of my decks that I just make for fun, they're not really thinking about, how do I strip mine a Gaia's Cradle?
Yeah, but to be fair, I think that strip mine can be this weird problematic card. And this goes into one of their other rules that we already read, where it causes you to play specific answers, and it causes you to play cards that might also be problematic.
Right. Strip mine is land destruction, and we advocate strip mine is like an auto include. You're just going to need ways to blow up their lands. And it's like, that doesn't sound like what they wanted. It sounds like the exact thing of play strip mine, one of the most miserable Magic cards ever created, and then so you can blow up their other card that's one of the most miserable cards in the format.
Yeah, so those Cabal Coffers and those Gaia's Cradles, they fit into like 3 different categories.
Yeah, they really hit them all.
Yeah, they hit a lot. These other ones, this one is a card that I will just say I am on the advocating for banning, period.
Joe hates this card now.
Well, I've just come to the point where I've realized it's stupid. It's way too good for the format, and I saw a tweet that I thought was great. It mentioned Dockside Extortionist is the same problem we had with Primeval Titan, except this one's 2 mana.
It feels like it. I mean, Primetime puts lands into play tap. This is like, here's your 8 mana ritual on an ETB for 2 mana.
But
obviously that's resource discrepancy. And the next one, Smothering Tithe, every turn, treasures mana, either ahead on mana or ahead on mana.
Yeah. The Smothering Tithe is so silly. I love taking the extremes on these cards, because it's like, all right, so what are the extremes? Either every time they draw a card, they pay 2, or every time they draw a card, you get a treasure. I know it meets in the middle somewhere where it's not as extreme. Doesn't matter. Still insane.
Huge resource imbalance.
Ridiculous.
Next is some cards that lead to repetitive gameplay, and we know that the rules committee is very low on these. And very recently, we've kind of been a little lower on them too, at least for including them in our decks. It's tutors. Vampiric Tutor, Imperial Seal, Demonic Tutor, Diabolic Tutor, Mystical Tutor, Personal Tutor, Worldly Tutor, Sylvan Tutor, Enlightened Tutor, Survival of the Fittest, Entomb, Intuition, Natural Order, Limdol's Vault, Gamble, and the Fetch lands, which we've talked so much about. We don't like the Fetch lands, but all of those definitely lead to repetitive gameplay. Whether that's a pro or a con, it's not what we're here to talk about. It's on the Commander website as their philosophy. I don't know how many comments we're going to get saying that we're whining about banning too many cards, but I hope it's 0.
We don't need to ban. Again, we're not even saying all this has to be
banned. About that.
I do want to say one thing. You said Diabolic Tutor, Diabolic Intent.
Sorry.
Diabolic Tutor, we wouldn't even come close to even talking about banning. Diabolic Intent. Do these cards, again, do every single one of these cards need to be banned? No, most likely not, but this is an extreme stance using what they say is problematic. And I think a lot of these cards realistically should be banned. They are incredible cards.
They all lead to repetitive gameplay. It doesn't matter. They're all the best card in your deck at any given time, and the best card in your deck isn't any card in your deck. It's 5 cards in your deck, and it just leads to, for example, if Dockside Extortionist is the best thing you can do, you're going to do it. Well, if you have these cards 15 times as often.
Yeah, exactly. What you end up doing is you just put these tutors in so you can get your Dockside Extortionist every single time, and the card goes infinite with a ham sandwich.
It does.
So it's whatever is in your hand, you're just going to go infinite with it. I don't play very many tutors. I think I play a Grim Tutor and a Vampiric Tutor, and that's it out of my 4 decks.
I've been taking them out. We can talk more about the cards we don't have fun with that we've excluded maybe in another video, but this is just for the thought experiment. Okay, next category. It's a category a lot of people have questions about because it's mass land destruction. Armageddon, Ravages of War, Yakuhops, Cataclysm, Deathcloud, Razia's Ruination, Global Ruin, Keldon Firestarters, Obliterate, Impending Doom, Fall of the Thran, Catastrophe, Sunder, Tectonic Break, Decree of Annihilation. These are all cards that prevent players from contributing to the game in a meaningful way, just like we had read on the website, that cause other players to feel they must play certain cards, even though the cards they're playing are also problematic. They're very difficult for other players to interact with, especially if doing so requires a specific answer. It's going to be a dedicated, narrow response while deck building. And I know the Commander Rules Committee super high on Commander is an expression of yourself. You are expressing the cards you have fun with and the ways you like to play. And for example, strip mining a Gaia's Cradle doesn't involve any of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of silly. Blowing up every land, it just prevents everyone from playing. And that's what's going to happen. Especially like Jackal-Hops. It's not blow up every land. It's blow up every permanent. It's like, oh, who wants to reset and just start from the beginning? We put Deathcloud in there. We had a friend he didn't win with it, but he just cast a huge Deathcloud and nobody played. Everyone just went pass. I think we took
14 turns in the span of 5 minutes. 14 go around the tables.
Yeah, it was
5 minutes.
Exactly. It's just like, and that's not what Commander is about. And it is stated that they want to avoid stuff like that. Well, nobody's contributing.
True. It's hard to make objective statements, but that is actually not what Commander's about. We just read what it was about according to the creators. It's different to everyone, but you can take something and interpret your own way, but this is from the source. Yeah,
exactly. Next is just these are cards that prevent players from contributing to the game in a meaningful way. Huge one, stacks. And this is very specific stacks piece. I didn't just say like smokestacks on here. Every stacks piece ever made.
Creatures intertapped is not a stacks piece.
I've seen some people say that opposition agent is a dumb stacks piece. I think it's a good stacks piece. So, but here's what I have. Tabernacle of Pendravel. I have no clue if this card is legal in the format. Winter Orb, Blood Moon, Magus of the Moon, Contamination, Back to Basic, Drannith Magistrate, and Static Orb. These are the extremes. These are the very, very, very unfun ones. Back to Basics can just lock certain players out of the game for not playing basic lands. Which
same with Blood Moon and Mages.
Yep, Blood Moon, Mages, and Contamination locks you out even if you're playing basic lands.
Yeah, Contamination is pretty brutal.
That card is brutal. And these cards just lead to not having a ton of fun. Tabernacle is so extreme, it literally taxes you for all of your creatures. If you're playing an elf ball deck, you're just like, oh, now my elves basically are just tapped all the time and they don't do anything.
Yeah, there's plenty of cards that say, well, I'm going to punish you for playing blue spells, I'm going to punish you for playing creatures, I'm going to punish you for playing lands, like the ones we just mentioned. This is like, I'm going to punish you for playing Commander.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're going to get punished just for doing whatever you want to be doing.
And like Drannith Magistrate, it's like you can't cast your Commander.
Notice that things like Rest in Peace aren't on this list because you're going to get punished for playing your Commander deck or for playing a graveyard deck. It's like, okay, that makes sense. It's like there has to be ways to hate out certain aspects of the game, yeah. But also for them to play that, they're playing a narrow piece. Like that card is narrow.
Doesn't do anything except exile graveyards.
Blood Moon hits every deck playing non-basics. Oh wait, that's every deck.
Yeah, so these definitely fit in the extreme axis of preventing people from playing or even contributing. I mean, playing and contributing, they're a lot different.
Yeah. For interacting with the format poorly, I only have one here. Literally only one card fits in this little format of like in the extreme. It's Sarah Ascendant. It's a 6/6 flying lifelink for 1 mana in the rules of Commander. Why is this card in the format? It fits that rule so perfectly.
It is textbook. Interacts poorly with multiplayer nature or the specific rules of Commander. Something happened. I think they cannot errata it. So it says if you have, 35 or more life? Yeah, 30 or more life. It's just a 6/6 flying lifelink. What? I don't understand who that's good for.
Yeah, I think that this is the only example that we have of cards that interact poorly with the format rules or the multiplayer nature.
But I think a lot of those are banned. Where the one Sway the Stars, it restarts the game, so that interacts poorly with we all have places to be. There's 4 players who now have to restart everything.
Or 7 Primordial.
Yeah, I think a lot of those are banned.
You get 6 for 1 on your card.
Right, a lot of those are actually banned, and this is one of the only ones left.
Yeah, I think that this one needs. This is another one where it's just like it doesn't really have anything to do with it necessarily being too powerful, but it's definitely too annoying and just not being
gel.
It
just doesn't gel.
Exactly, it interacts poorly with the multiplayer nature or specific rules of the format.
Right. So next, we have the win out of nowhere factor, and cards we're just going to list here. There's probably more than we listed even, but here's a couple. Doomsday, Thassa's Oracle, Jace Wielder of Mysteries, Laboratory Maniac, Food Chain, Protein Hulk, Tooth and Nail, Expropriate, Icecrown Scepter, Pelincron, and Hermit Druid. Pretty much all those, I think, fall into the I just win, you didn't see this coming. Well, the thing they were talking about when they said cards that win out of nowhere. And this is literally mostly out of nowhere.
I was extremely conservative with these cards.
Yeah, some of them are 2-card combos. Some of them are just Protein Hulk dies, you win.
Yeah,
Expropriate resolves, you win.
Yeah, Doomsday, you either win or you lose. There's nothing else that's going to happen. When you cast Doomsday, everything's exiled except 5 cards in your hand. Guess what?
From your deck.
So what's going to happen? Oh,
Laboratory Maniac.
You're either going to win or you're going to lose. So ultimately, these are what these cards are very, very just easily win out of nowhere. Food Chain and 58 different creatures in the format. Not even 15.
Some commanders
just go infinite with this. Doom's the empty your decks it's so easy. It's the easiest thing to do ever.
Yeah, Demonic Consultation, just the easiest way to empty your deck.
Yeah, it's so silly.
That's a card that shows up more in competitive, but is still obviously legal. They're in the same format.
Yeah, exactly. Tooth and Nail. Do I need to show you 2-card creature combos?
Yeah, Tooth and Nail is a big one that, I think Protein Hulk, Tooth and Nail, and Expropriate for me are like the big 3 win out of nowhere cards because it's like they resolve, the game's over.
The weirdest thing to me, comparing Tooth and Nail to Biorhythm, which is banned, is very strange. Tooth and Nail is 9 mana. I can get an infinite combo and win I think it's no matter what colors you're in, I think. I'm not positive about that. Don't quote me.
Don't think it matters which colors you're in, but there's so many to examine. But you have to be in green, and I think you can already get like Avenger of Zendikar, Craterhoof. That's pretty fair, and it's like you probably just auto win from right there from there.
Yeah, if you have haste for sure.
You don't even need haste. If you have like 5 creatures out.
Yeah, so that's an extreme too. Like Tooth and Nail just wins out of nowhere, and then you compare it to Biorhythm, you have to build around it and then make stuff happen, and then you cast and win the game. Mm-hmm. With jumping through hoops. There's not even hoops for Tooth and Nail. Yeah. The hoop is, did you put 2 good creatures in your deck? Oh, you did? You win.
Right. Machias and Ballista or Triskelion, and then there's like Kiki Jiki and 25 different creatures. This is another example of like Biorhythm is the sample of, hey, watch out for these. But then all these you could just play.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the more extreme version. Just take the cards that are just going to win the game out of the blue for no reason, get them out of the format.
Right, because there has to be some limited number of these that are at least on the upper level. So when you get rid of all of them, you probably end up with people can exhale and go, hey, the game's not going to end because there's no threats in play.
Yeah, exactly. Then there's still going to be cards that are going to be like, oh, okay, the game's in danger. It's like if the board's completely empty and somebody plays Avengers in the card and then
fetch land.
Well, I was thinking like just scape shifts. Like, okay, that's an out of nowhere they might win, but that's 2 cards that they had in their hand sitting there.
And the game's not over.
And you still have a turn to answer it.
Right. There's 3 turns, really, one. So last, it's the card discrepancy. We already covered the mana. This is the card resources. Rhystic Study, Consecrated Sphinx, Skull Clamp, Necropotence, probably the best card in the format, Hull Breacher, Narset, Notion Thief, cards that are just, once they do their thing, it feels like you just can't come back.
Okay, so let's just talk about these individually because I want to go over them really quickly.
Quick blurbs.
Rhystic Study is really simple. Everyone knows why Rhystic Study is so good. Consecrated Sphinx, it just sits in the battlefield. Every go around, you draw a minimum of 6 cards.
Yeah, let's throw Mystical Remora on here too, actually, because that definitely is the same.
Yeah, it's the same thing as Rhystic Study. Skull Clamp, this card is so broken. It's a build around that needs to be banned. That's insane to me. There's like none of those. Like these cards aren't really build arounds. They're just kind of you play them and you win, or you play them and you get a ton. No, this is a build around and it's still that broken.
Skull Clamp is like top 15 cards in the format.
Necropotence is Yawgmoth's bargain. There you go. That card's banned.
Necropotence fits the resource disparity. It checks that box, even though it's on a checklist. It does meet that criteria, and then it also not gelling with the 40 life multiplayer format at all.
Yeah, not even a little bit. These 3 I think are super important. I think Hull Breacher, Narset Powder Veils, and Notion Thief are cards I actively think need to get out of this format. And I understand that Hull Breacher has brought this to the forefront. That has been the most problematic card. What these do is they prevent players from also playing in a meaningful way. If you have card draw in your hand, it suddenly all turns into not card draw. You can't do anything.
One of the core tenets of the format. It's like a pillar of the format.
Yeah, you end up with a bunch of blanks in your hand.
Worse than blanks.
Worse than blanks. And in the case of Hull Breacher and Notion Thief, you don't really get blanked. They get a huge advantage out of it.
It's a guaranteed gotcha. and then it stays in play.
Yeah, so if you cast, let's just say, what's the
Recurring Insight.
Yeah, there you go. You cast a Recurring Insight. You're going to draw 5 cards. And they flash in their Hull Breacher. Okay, now they countered your spell.
Yep.
And they got 5 treasures. And they countered the rebound. And then in the case of Notion Thief, they got that as their thing.
The 5 cards.
The least egregious of these is Narset Parter Veils, but I think as long as wheels are in the format, and I'm not advocating for wheel bannings, you just can't have this. Those are 2-card combos that are way too good.
We did talk about, this even goes back to winning out of nowhere. These plus a wheel basically ends the game on the spot, or at least stops everyone else from contributing in a major way. So they definitely belong on this more liberal ban list looking at the criteria. So this is, all in all these cards, there's 86 of them. So if I had to look, is this format healthier, better, or worse when you ban 86 of these cards? One of the things you got to look at is, that I mentioned on the website, is people love their cards. We don't want to ban people's cards because it severs the bond of this me and my deck when you ban my Gaia's Cradle. And I think that's true for everything in every format. It's really tough because, I mean, you banned Iona, and I'm sure a bunch of people were upset about that. I wonder if you just ban these 86 cards, does Commander get more played or less played?
Yeah, and we're not advocating for necessarily doing this or necessarily doing the opposite.
Maybe you do it in batches, 10 and 10 or something.
Yeah, I do think there was 5 or 6 cards in here you heard me mention. I think 110% should be banned. It's not even close. Like at least there's this. Like at least I can hear the skull ring discussion and feel it. A Hull Breacher, nobody enjoys that card. I don't even know. It just feels like nobody wants that card in the format. Dockside Extortionist.
It feels like there's like Hull Breacher, Dockside, Necropotence, Gaia's Cradle, they're like, and Skull Clamp are like way up here. And then I think Soul Ring and Mana Crypt are chilling over here. Like, don't worry about us, guys.
Yeah, even though they're just as powerful. At least all decks having access to them gives it a little leeway.
I feel like it gives it less leeway, honestly.
That might be true, too. Exactly. There's so much to discuss with the ban list.
And it's interesting. I hope this thought experiment helped you get an idea of what's in our heads, what's in the Commander's Rules Committee's heads. If you don't even know or you didn't know they have a website, go check it out. We'll link in the description. But
we also I want to mention really quickly, Commander is for fun, and it is amazingly fun format.
Best format.
We're not saying to change this format completely in any direction. We're just saying this is like our thought, like what we would do. And it's not even necessarily what we would do. I would definitely ban at least, there's probably a solid, if I could just take it right now and be like, I have full autonomy over the rules committee, I'd probably ban like 10 cards. Because I wouldn't go this crazy, because you don't want to just ban 86 cards at once.
That'd be a huge displacement. People will get real upset.
Exactly. And I don't want to, it's not, my goal would not be to upset people. My goal is only to make the format a little more balanced and a little more fun for everybody.
Yes. Even with this list, there's other ways to go. It's like, well, do you ban all the Laboratory Maniacs, or do you ban all the cards that nuke your deck for free? It's like, well, I don't know.
Exactly. No, that's just more discussion. There's so much discussion to be had about this format. It is such a fun, cool, unique format that just has so much play to it.
And honestly, I'm kind of interested who would feel similar to me. I'll play this format no matter what the ban list is. I literally don't care. Like, on some extent, there's my preferred ban list, the BZ ban list, but I'll play this format no matter what the ban list is. I don't know who else would agree with that, but let me know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not leaving Commander. Nothing's going to push me away from
There's
Commander.
No ban list that pushes me away.
Yeah, me neither. But that is the end of our video. Special shout outs to every single one of our patrons. You guys help us so much. You support this channel. You're the lifeblood of the channel, and we love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable, of course.
There's a link in the description.
Is
TCG
there?
Player is where it takes you. Buy the cards you were going to buy anyway, and then support the channel through the affiliate link. You don't spend anything extra. And I'm going to steal this from Joe Cherries so that he can do the tidbit about our lives at the end. We have a Discord. Come hang out, play Commander games. They're always firing. We're in there asking questions, answering questions. Add us if you want to tell us or ask us something, and we'll check it out.
Okay, so tidbit about our lives. I think it's your turn.
It's definitely your turn. I just told you it was.
Oh.
I stole your thing, so it's your turn.
That's not how it works.
That doesn't matter.
Okay. But I guess what I want to say is, just to throw us out there, is we're going to be starting a Kickstarter soon, just to get it out in the air. It's not out there yet. It doesn't exist. There's no link to it yet, so don't go crazy.
Early stages, couple weeks maybe.
We're talking a couple weeks, and we're going to be doing gameplay. It's coming. I mean, we're definitely going.
This year, it is going to be like filmed. I don't know if it's going to be released this year, but it's going to be filmed this year 100%.
My goal is to release it by the end of this year, and I think
me too. I don't know if we'll get there.
I think we can get there, and I really don't get your hopes up too high. But once we start it,
get your hopes up a little.
It's not going to stop.
Please, I mean a little bit.
Well, I mean once we start gameplay, it's not stopping. It's going to be. We're going to be doing gameplay as often as we can. are getting help from other people because we don't know a ton about this, but I'm excited to do this.
And we just hit 30,000 subscribers, which is
Oh
amazing.
my
That was
God.
our goal for the end of the year, and we just hit it less than halfway through the year. So our new benchmark, we're probably going to hit 50K by the end of this year, which would be insanity.
Insanity. We're not going to stop. We're not going to
See
stop.
you at the top, baby.
Yeah, we'll see you all at the top. We're going to the moon, right?
To the moon, yeah.
To the moon. Okay. Peace out, Tribe Scout.